it is finally up and running. The fourth Aggressive LMG episode where I'll be talking about the hammer. I am of course Counter member, and yeah, finally. Me and the R60 here is gonna make quick work of the enemy, and I'm gonna move on and hop into the damage stats. But first of all, if you think the contrast looks weird, probably does because it looks weird for me, it's because I'm recording this at my dad's place. Just installed Vegas 12, and it seems to be doing some weird shit with my clips. Hopefully you can still watch it. So let's dip into what you actually came here for, the statistics and the build. As always, starting off with damage. The hammer is a medium damage LMG, not a medium damage weapon, because the LMGs are kind of above the other weapons, in most cases. But the damage in stats is between 40 and 24 damage. This will translate into having shots to kill ranges of 3 to 5 shots to kill. This is the same as the LSAT and QBB, however it has different ranges at where it will be getting those 3, 4 or 5 shots to kill, and that is the next point. So the 3-shot kill range on the hammer is around 27 meters, and as you've noticed, it is right in between the QB and the LSAT. The QB has a 17 meter 3-shot kill range, and the LSAT has a 33 meter 3-shot kill range, so it's in between the two, and for understandable reasons, because of its fire rate we're hopping into later. So the 4-shot kill range is the exact same as the LSAT. I might have goofed that up in the LSAT video, but it is 72 meters. And I believe that is the same. The statistics say it's the same as the LSAT. Might have gotten some weird statistics last video, but they are the statistics, and it's rather good. It's a range that you will rarely get over, because most encounters in this game are, well, most are in fact below 20 meters, but a lot of them still occur up to 50 meters, 50, 60 meters, so rarely you will need any more than 4 shots to kill. And of course I goofed up on that one earlier when I said it's 3, 4 and 5 shots to kill ranges. Of course it has an infinite 5-shot kill range, because it's not a shotgun. The bullets don't disappear, they just deal less and less damage over range. So then the rate of fire is the strangest thing about this gun, and what makes it versatile and very interesting. The hammer has a rate of fire at 900 RPM. On the first 7 shots that come out of the gun every time you pull the trigger, every time you hold the trigger. So every time you let go and pull the trigger again, the mouse or the triggers on the Xbox controllers, it will spit out bullets at 900 RPM. After these first 7 bullets at 900 RPM, it will keep on firing at 600 RPMs. Of course, you can let go of the trigger and shoot again as soon as those first 7 shots have been depleted, used. So it's kind of how you want to do it. It needs some tactic, needs some planning, but first 7 shots 900 RPM, then 600 RPM. From that, it is perhaps rather easy to tell that the times to kill are going to be somewhat quirky. If you kill someone with these 7 first shots, the time to kill is going to be in between 0.15 and 0.28 seconds. If you kill someone with the 7 rapid shots, if you kill someone with the 7 with only 600 RPM slow bullets, the time to kill is going to be in between 0.22 and 0.42 seconds. So somewhere in between 0.15 and 0.42, that says very little, but in general you're going to be killing people mostly with the 7 first shots. So an average time to kill of perhaps 0.2, 0.25, somewhere around there. Of course, you can enchant your times to kill by equipping rapid fire as an attachment. However, I do not recommend this. The fire rate on the first 7 shots will go all the way up to 1200 RPM, which is on par with the Scorpion, very quick. However, it will halve your range and it will add an enormous amount of kick. And those 7 first shots already has a pretty decent kick, so it's not recommended. Oh, and the remaining shots will keep on being fired at 800 RPM and still have a lot more recoil. Generally, those 600 RPM shots, they are what you want to use at long ranges, but with that 800 RPM, you won't be able to, since the range will be horrible and the recoil will be moderate to high. Don't use rapid fire, it sucks. Now comes something I managed to put in different places of each episode every time I talk about it, and I'm not sure where to put it, but I hope you can use the information, even though it's perhaps not in the best position. Well, the hammer has a 1.2x headshot multiplier. I should actually have this right after the ranges of which it gets 3 and 4 shots to kill, because this 1.2x multiplier, it is useful where the 3-shot kill range goes over to being 4-shot kills and the 4-shot kill range goes over to being 5 shots. However, the 4-shot kill range being 71 meters, it is kind of difficult to judge when 71 meters goes over to 72. It's such a long range, you have hard measuring the distance, so don't mind that. If they're really far away, aim for the head, you might have a shot, sure, but if you're at closer ranges around 30 meters, then, and feel you have the time and skill, then aim for the head, it might save you a shot. As the hammer is a drum mag fed LMG, it is not going to have the 100 mags at the mark an LSAT has, but 75, which is still, okay, I'm not even gonna say okay, it's very fucking good compared to all the other weapons in the game, except the mark and the LSAT, which beats it with 25 bullets. If you equip extended mags, this goes up to 100, but it adds to the reload time, and 75 bullets is usually sufficient. But now, the drum mag is good for another reason. The reload time is swift on the hammer, only 4.19 seconds, or 2.72 if you reload cancel, and that 2.72 is in fact the swiftest in the LMG category. The 4.19 is slightly slower than the QBB's 3.72, but the 2.72 reload cancelling time is faster than the QBB's flat 3 seconds. So reload cancel as much as you can. It is rather easy, you can just see the mag going in and cancel. It's perfect and it's rather easy. I recommend you to do it. Hipfire is rather poor. However, if you keep it at 900 RPM, it is about as workable as the QBB LSW, just slightly worse because you lose some shots every time you drop the trigger. But it's okay, not the worst, not the best, don't recommend it, but if you have to, it's acceptable. The handling traits are, as always, bad and boring to talk about for that reason. The aim down sights time is in 0.47 seconds and out 0.4. Race time is 0.85 and 0.52 to drop. Knife speed is 1.52 seconds. With that said, it is always important to be prepared with the LMG. Don't get caught in the midst of swapping weapons, reloading, aiming, knifing, because you are so very slow doing that. Be prepared. That is the main message with the LMGs. No time to rest. Hopping into the recoil, the hammer is above average with recoil in the LMG category. On the first 7 shots, of course, you have to divide it up like this. The recoil is moderate to high, and on the remaining it is low to moderate, I would say. And the muzzle flash isn't that much of a problem, generally speaking, and the iron sights are rather clean, so I wouldn't recommend either silencer or red dot sight for that reason. So let's finally hop into the build at 10 minutes. So we have seen so far that the hammer can be quite potential at both long and short ranges due to its variable fire rate. This is what we need to take into consideration when building the class, and also that it has rather bad handling traits. First of all, we're equipping the quick draw handle. This will allow us to aim faster, get the aim up faster. From the horrible 480 milliseconds it takes to aim down sights, we now minimize it, we now drag it down to 360 milliseconds. This attachment is particularly useful for our build for a reason I will explain later. Now the next thing we are equipping is the suppressor, and yeah, this is discussable because the suppressor gives minus 30% range. That is rather much, and this is not the highest range LMG, definitely not. But the suppressor allows us to do one very interesting thing. If we see someone at long range, we do not want to kill them with the 7 first shots, because that is very difficult. These 7 first shots have rather high recoil, so we want to get down to the 600 RPM shots. If we don't have a suppressor, they will notice us. Probably. They will see it on the radar, they will hear the shots, and they will turn, and we will have an even battle, but it's much better to have the surprise. So what you want to do with the suppressor is you want to fire the first 7 shots next to the enemy, and then you can fire the other shots, the slow firing shots, at the actual enemy. So you can exploit that they don't know where you are until you start hitting them with the suppressor very effectively. Considering you're using the hammer, you can make full use of the hammer's potential to be effective at both long and short ranges. So that's the main reason we're having it, but in general it's a rather good attachment, since it allows us to be sneaky, and it's gonna par well with our secondary, a launcher. First, however, we are going to equip the primary gunfighter wildcard, and with that, of course, another attachment comes, and the attachment is the stock. Ha! You are probably sick beyond measure of me recommending this stock over and over again with the LMGs, but hey, it's so good with the LMGs. It gives such a great buff. You need it to sidestep, or else when you fire you will just be a fucking rock, and you don't want to be a rock, you want to be a human. So this stock is good, although as the title suggests, you are mostly going to stop and pop with this weapon. It's still good for sidestepping around corners, and it is a good attachment. So having buffed the hammer to a state where it can handle itself, doesn't need any offensive or defensive secondary, but a more supportive secondary to take down air support, and we have equipped, as you saw way back there, the FHJ whatever. It's better than the small because it has 2 shots, and it's better than the RPG, of course, because it can lock onto aircraft, and that's our main task with it. It complements the suppressor good because you can take down UAVs, and then the enemy will have no clue where you are ever. So it's a perfect complement to that, and be careful when using it. Mostly use it when you spawn, when you're far away from the enemy, or else you can get into some nasty situations. Now, the perks. For the blue perk, it really boils down to personal preference and game type. The flak jacket is good for more objective things like domination and hardpoint, where you have to resist a lot of explosives, but the hardline perk is better, well, it's good in tandem with the anti-air launcher, as it will grant you a lot of points, a lot of score streaks to hammer the enemy, hammer the enemy with a hammer, even better. So I preferred hardline, but if you're playing objective, use flak jacket. For green perk, it's the ever-loved Toughness. Why Toughness? Well, since we are very relying on our first primary weapon, and we will be fighting at slightly longer ranges than with the QBB, which I didn't recommend Toughness for. Also, we have a 600 RPM potential. You'll find yourself there more often than you think, so Toughness will be useful, believe me. For the red and third perk, I can suggest either Tactical Mask or Dexterity. Tactical Mask will par well if you decide to go with flak jacket as well, and it is somewhat important to not get stuck as an LMG user. You will be such a big and bloated target. Then again, you can also choose dexterity to further buff your stop and pop ability, just to run and whoop up and move on. It's a matter of personal preference, just as the last point in this build. Personally, I went for a C4 because it's a good offensive addition to our build, because else of this weapon can be somewhat hampered when you're rounding corners, walking into rooms. In spite of it having quick draw and stock, it can still be a disadvantage, so the C4 is a good addition. But you can as well choose to take another lethal or a tactical grenade. That rounds off my build. A weapon that can certainly handle itself, some support for your team, extra offense with the C4, and some tankiness at longer ranges having the toughness. Important to think about: don't fire at the 600 RPM unless you really have to, unless you're panicking something. Try and avoid it. Stop and pop. Just stop, shoot, and move on. That's the best strategy and what you're supposed to do if you want to be successful with this weapon. It has a good potential, but it's difficult to master. Hope you enjoyed the video. This has been Countermember. Adios.